right, you are on the platform and it's Fridays. It's time to talk about some issues with some people who talk freely. Free Speech Fridays brought to you by the Free Speech Union, fsu.nz. We talked to them this week. Next week we'll have an interview about a wonderful victory they got for freedom of speech and standing up to communist China in the courts and standing up to someone who tried to misuse a piece of legislation to shut a journalist down. We'll have more on that story on Monday. But right now, we are joined by the old crew. Maybe I was feeling nostalgic in the middle of winter, and I thought we'd put Wellington's Alistair Boyce, or Boycey, and Leo Molloy from HQ2 in Auckland. I thought we'd put them back in the hot seats today. Good morning. You put them to air, Isabella. Good morning to you both, gentlemen. How are we?
G'day, very good, Sean.
Leo, how's Auckland? Raining?
No, it's actually a fine day today, Sean. Beautiful, clear day today, as you'd expect more of that up here, you know. Weather's very good up here.
All right, look, breaking news, and guys, we didn't put this on the list. I've just finished talking to Chantelle Baker, who's been told by a judge in Wellington, even though the Herald and Kate Hanna have settled out of court with her on a defamation matter, the judge says if she wants to take Stuff and Kate Hanna to court, she's going to have to pay a $100,000 bond to sue them for defamation. I reckon that sucks, Leo.
Yeah, it did seem a bit strong. I actually read that last night myself, and I thought at the time, mind you, those judges are invariably quite left-wing, and I see Stuff as described Chantelle in less than favourable terms.
And doesn't mention that she got an out-of-court settlement from the Herald.
Well, does it or does it not? Because the article I read does. So.
Oh, it does? Okay. Maybe it wasn't in the version I read. Okay. So how can the judge say she's not likely to win when a major news organisation's already folded on much the same grounds, Alistair?
Well, it was all about Bill Ralston's evidence, wasn't it? That's the article I read.
Yeah. Well, oh, no, when did you read that last night? Okay, that's the Herald one, yeah. Alistair, what do you think?
Yeah.
Should you have to put up a bond to sue someone for besmirching your name?
Absolutely not. This is sort of, you've got to be rich to participate in justice. So
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Look, one guy... Yeah.
Sean, can I ask, how's Boyce getting on? Has he got handcuffs on there, or what's his rig he's got on? I've been reading a bit in the paper about it. It doesn't sound like he's been travelling too well.
Boyce?
What's Leo accusing me of now?
Didn't you get caught in the tunnel behaving badly and denied it was you or something by the cops?
No, that's a different guy. That's a different guy.
Leo, I've got way higher behaviour standards
No,
than
you're
you have.
thinking about this drug-addled, this drug-addled absolute nutter who's running for mayor called Graham Bloxham, who's a complete con artist.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know who he is.
Yeah, Graham Bloxham. No, that's Graham Bloxham. He's a guy who's already done
Leo
time.
to court. That's defamation, Leo.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
You owe me at least a round of beers, okay?
Okay, we'll take that as bond. I'll hold it for you.
I'll apologise later.
All right.
And I want $20,000 in my account tomorrow, just in case you lose and don't pay me the round of beers, okay?
Now, guys, you're the perfect. One of the reasons I wanted you both here, I knew you'd have unfiltered opinions on this next story. One guy who isn't going to be suing anyone for defamation, he's dead as a dodo, reputation-wise, is Michael Forbes, former Stuff journalist and deputy media secretary for Luxon. I mean, guys, it doesn't get much worse, does it? Fall from grace-wise.
Leo's better at this than me because he falls from grace every Friday night.
Oh, stop. Behave, you two.
No, we're just getting going.
That's a bit unfair, but look, I'll open the batting then. I don't know where I really sit on this one, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I respect the rights of women to have privacy, and they should at least know if they're going to be filmed, but there's so much.
He wasn't
goes
filmed.
on.
It was only a voice recording. Yeah, don't think.
I
Well, this is the prostitute was only a voice recording. He took some pictures of people at the Les Mills gym.
Oh, okay. I thought she was filmed when she went into the shower or something.
No. And the story was ambiguous about this. It was by Paula Penfold, strangely enough, the journalist at the centre of the Chantelle Baker thing. But no, it was only an audio recording with 2 or 3 prostitutes that he'd slept with.
Oh, that's very different, and that doesn't seem to be a great transgression to me. I mean, I respect the rights to privacy, but it doesn't seem to be particularly alarming, does it?
Okay, he did take photographs and videos of women at gyms and a woman through the window of a house, which seemed, to say the least, a little creepy, Leo.
Yeah, that last one's very concerning. Anybody who does that sort of thing should be looked at very closely. But taking pictures of women at gyms, I mean, if I took a picture at the gym this morning, which I won't be, but if I did, there'd be 100 women in the background, none of whom are any interest to me. But so I don't really understand the significance of that one either. But certainly the one about invading people's privacy in their own home is a grave concern.
Okay. Do you believe, Boyce, a prostitute who says she felt that her privacy was breached and she suffered terrible results as a result of someone recording the noise of her sleeping with him for money?
Well, it's the equivalent of me if I'm serving at the bar, someone filming me serving at the bar, which has happened many times. I don't know. I think that one's overblown. I think he sounds like a bit of a creep, and but if he didn't reach the threshold for prosecution with the police, then it's a bit of a non-story, a non-starter in a lot of ways.
Well, it would seem to me that the journalists concerned, Paula Penfold and others, Leo, are trying to revive the Me Too movement. But I just wonder if women of the night are the best sort of standard bearers for a new assault on, or the revival of the Me Too movement.
Well, liberal women, women of the night, they're very those liberal types, aren't they? And they just believe in, I've got to be careful what I say here because I haven't thought about this, so I might put my foot right in it, but I'll think carefully as I say it, and I'll try and fill in some time while I organise my thoughts. Women of the night...
you on the spot.
But women of the night may well be taking some risks that normal people aren't accustomed to taking, so I think with those risks, you have to accept there's going to be some sort of, you may well find yourself exposed to jeopardy, is all I'll say.
Yeah. Could I also say, it's represented in the story, Leo and Alistair, that they asked him to give the passwords to his phone when they figured out he was recording here. I was really sitting there thinking, how would that have gone down? Look, excuse me, sir. It's against our policy for you to record us. Could we please have your passcode? Or do you think someone who, like someone you wouldn't want to sleep with, depending on your predilection, some beefy kind and said, open your phone, bro, or I'll hit you? Leo?
Go on, Boyce, you say something first, Boyce. I can't dominate.
I don't know. There might have been some coercion going on, or moral coercion, or how dare you show me your phone now, and I want to see what you've got on me, and then suddenly it starts pouring out. I don't know. But there's some form of coercion going on.
Yeah. The other thing I've got to say is, and I don't know anything about this, guys, and I'm not suggesting that you have more knowledge than I do, either of you. I always was under the impression that part of being a person of the night or lady of the night was that you had discretion and you didn't basically blab about your clients. That was the absolute no-no of that business, Leo.
Yeah, and that's where it gets a bit complicated, isn't it? Where are the rules? Has anybody ever written a set of rules for that industry? But yeah, I would have thought it's quite a tricky one, that one, but I'm just trying to tread very carefully here. I don't want to upset your listeners.
You can upset my listeners. They don't mind. They get upset all the time, Leo.
They may well describe me as being judgmental, and God forbid one of them may well use the misogynistic word, which is always...
Oh, God, you'll get over it, Leo. It won't kill you.
No, that's true. But,
yeah.
But I don't really need a bad Friday, so let's just leave it.
Okay, Alistair, do you have a code if you serve behind a bar that you don't pass on anything someone may have said when they're in their cups?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I've served all the prime ministers and major politicians since 1990. You don't repeat their conversations unnecessarily. You may comment with the information that that has come your way, but you don't dob any of them in. And if you do it in a supportive manner rather than a subversive manner.
Yeah. Look, the other thing I think, guys, neither of you have been outraged by it, and I think it's completely manufactured. The transgressions and the foibles or perversions of Michael Forbes have got nothing to do with the government or Chris Luxon, have they?
course not.
Well, no, I don't think they have either, and I think it's ridiculous how the media attack Luxon. I mean, he can hardly be accountable for someone who he inherited from another member of staff, and if he didn't vet him properly, well, where does vetting end anyway when it comes to vetting people? I mean, in my industry, no one vets anyone that I know of. We have dozens of staff come and go. Most average stay about 3 months, but they just turn up with a CV, put it on the bar. No one ever checks it. I mean, what goes on in your world, Boyce? Do you check CVs and ring back to previous employers, all that sort of thing?
I do for key positions, and then generally at lower age groups, I employ based on work history or education or obvious factors. Another quick one to check people on is Facebook.
Well, this guy was clearly a wrong, and he'd worked for Stuff. That should have put up a red flag almost immediately, guys.
Yeah, I agree with that point too. Working for Stuff is a very, very bad stain on your CV or lack of CV in that case. But, yeah.
All right. Look, it's been such... and look, it's good to talk to you guys, well, particularly you, Leo, and see outside the Beltway just how little impact really that story, I think, has had on the nation. I was getting phone calls when it broke a week ago from all sorts of people saying, what did I think? And a bit like you, Leo, I thought, well, so what? There's a guy who's a little bit dodge, who's been doing some stuff's a little bit dodge, and he's been found out. End of story.
Can we talk about Greta Thunberg?
Yes, that was next on my list. I was just trying to think of a good segue, Leo. Greta is back home. She got flown home on an LL flight in the worst seat, the kid's seat at the back of the plane next to the toilets. What a waste of bloody time that was, Alistair.
Yeah, I find her incredibly annoying, and I find her quite boring. Her arguments never seem to stack up. They're all sort of emotive and how dare you and, things like that, rather than, putting a logical argument together to maintain a point. So, no, she's not my cup of tea, Sean.
All right. What did you think, Leo? What a piece of performance theatre it all was.
Well, let's start by talking about Israel and Gaza first. So Gaza wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for Israel.
Yep.
And they've turned down so many two-state solutions that in terms of where they should go to if they do decide to occupy Gaza or retake Gaza, that they should just send them back to where they come from, which is basically Jordan and Sinai.
Yep.
And maybe a few into Saudi Arabia. So that's that problem solved. But when you get someone like Greta, what did she have on board in terms of tucker? They ate most of it. She probably had a lunchbox and maybe a little backpack left, enough to feed her family. There's about, I think, 11 million or something meals been handed out there in the last week since they established that station, the American-based aid station, which I see they gunned down 5.
Yeah, the Hamas people are attacking those aid workers now because Hamas can't sell the aid to their own people at market rates.
I think everything about it was set up in such a way as to paint a picture of a certain individual, i.e. Greta, who's trying to argue that she's a human being, which clearly she's not. But anyway, her posturing didn't go far. She got raided, not kidnapped, raided by the Israel Defence Forces and then taken back to Israel, put on a plane and sent home. Well, I can't see which part of it she's been treated badly, I'm sorry, and I can't see where she deserved a single column inch. I cannot understand what she was doing there. They sailed past a boat from bloody Sudan or somewhere full of poor migrants who were making an honest attempt to get from Africa up into Europe on the way, didn't bother stopping to them or talking to them or picking them up or doing anything. So I think all in all, Greta's done what we expected she would do, and that's covered herself in shame again. Yeah. And quite rightly so.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, Boyce, would you be surprised if she wasn't going to sit down for dinner with Winston Peters, given what we have done this week, imposing sanctions for nothing on a country we're not in dispute with?